Hey everyone, it's Corey of Blue Falcon Board Gaming. If you're new to the channel, I'm a United States Marine Corps veteran that started the Blue Falcon Board Gaming Group in the Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia tri-state area with the hopes of promoting positive mental health through board gaming, as well as to make board games more accessible by hosting and co-hosting free events within the community. Today, I'm joined by Justin Nauman. Justin, welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, Justin, you were just recently appointed as president of Tabletop Gamers. But first, you just want to kind of introduce yourself outside of board gaming and outside of the organization, just as, who's Justin as a person.
Sure, sounds good. Born and raised in Iowa. Went to Iowa State University in Ames to get my bachelor's degree in management information systems, and then kind of never left. I ended up working now at the university for their admissions area, doing a bunch of website programming stuff. But when I was in Ames for college, I just ended up with a bunch of people that like to play board games and tabletop role-playing games, and just kind of grew from there. I tell people I got tricked into signing the incorporation documents about 10 years ago, but I've really enjoyed being part of the organization since its inception, and now am the president of the organization, which is kind of big. So,
Absolutely. So do you want to go into what Tabletop Gamers is?
sure. So Tabletop Gamers is a nonprofit organization. We're also fully volunteer, so no one works for us per se. Everyone has full-time jobs outside of it. So anytime you see someone at a convention or volunteering, that is like purely volunteer work that they're doing outside of their full-time job, which is great, which helps us use all of the money that we get for donations to accomplish our mission, which is promoting the visibility and inclusivity of LGBTQ plus folks in the board gaming space and through board gaming. So when we started out 10-ish years ago, it was all about, I can grab one of these like ribbons here, handing out these gamer and their ally ribbons as well at Gen Con that people can put on their badges. Yep. And we started doing the pronoun ribbons there as well. Yeah, that's kind of how it started out, was just handing out ribbons. We didn't have a booth or anything. It was just a couple of us handing out these ribbons. Some vendors would hand out ribbons and have them at their booths for us. And it moved on into, now we go to 7 conventions, I think, a year, have an info booth there, some conventions. We do panels like Transgender 101 and Ally 101. So people in the community can come ask questions of, usually we get people that work in the industry that are queer to be on the panels as well, which is a good insight to that. Yeah, running games and stuff at conventions as well is what we're moving a little bit more into in the past couple of years. Last year we had a whole room at Gen Con that was people running games underneath the Tabletop Gamers banner, which is really cool. We've also started to do some stuff outside of conventions recently as well.
Okay. So what was, I guess, kind of like, was there a certain catalyst or anything that caused the inception of the group, or did it just happen to be a group of people, that was just into gaming and everything decided to go with it, or was there a need that wasn't being met that you guys were hoping would be fulfilled by the organization?
Yeah, so if you go back far enough, it sort of evolved out of, I believe it was like a Yahoo mail list or something that was a bunch of queer gay people that were going to Gen Con and were originally just doing like meetups and things at Gen Con. So a few of those members kind of got together and decided, well, we should actually like do something else. So like, oh, we'll just make these ribbons that say gamer, so like people know, like when you're at a table with someone and you can see the badge, like, oh, I can kind of be myself at this table. There's other gay people here. That's cool. I'll just say it spiraled out of control from there, I guess. So, now we're committed to going to conventions, but it's great when people see our booth there. They come up and they're like, oh, we're so excited to see you at this convention, especially if we hadn't been there before. Or I come by first thing at Gen Con every time to grab my gamer ally ribbon. But really the whole point is kind of like what I said. If you sit down at a table and you're like, oh, I don't know if I can be like my true authentic self at this table, sometimes you have to be a little bit guarded depending on where you are and what the situation is. But if you see a bunch of people at the table with gamer and ally ribbons, you know that's a place that you can be yourself.
Mm-hmm. So is there anything else that people should be aware of as far as that? I mean, just most people probably don't feel like whenever they go to convention that they have to kind of guard themselves at a table. Is there any other issues that people should just be made aware of that maybe they can alleviate any hesitation or anything like that other than the ribbons?
Well, I mean, along with the gamer ally ribbons, which are great, we also have the pronoun ribbons, which we'd encourage everyone to wear. It helps kind of destigmatize that and lets people that may not present as the pronoun that they go by feel more comfortable wearing those ribbons if people that do present as those pronouns as well. Yeah, it depends on like the game and stuff that you're playing. If like conversations should be brought up, I guess, especially if you're doing something like a tabletop role-playing game where certain topics might come up. Having different systems in place, like a yellow card, red card type system, where like, oh, this conversation's starting to make me feel uncomfortable, or someone's going into a topic that I'm not comfortable with, which is good for things outside of LGBTQ plus related topics as well. Like it's generally just a good practice, but some of those things can help people know that there's a way to like help them opt out of certain situations and make them feel a little more comfortable.
Gotcha. So you said that you guys are kind of doing more stuff now than just the ribbons and some panels. Do you have any programs or anything that you're wanting to bring up or talk about?
Yeah, we have two programs that are more outside of conventions because and part of the catalyst for that is people come up to us at conventions like, so what do you do? Like, well, we go to conventions and we hand out ribbons, like, which is great and fantastic. But people are always want to know what we're doing outside of conventions to also help the community. So over the past couple of years, we've developed two programs that are kind of getting off the ground now. One is the Game Night program, which we partner with LGBTQ centers in different cities and send them basically a pack of board games that we've got donated from different retailers and such, or manufacturers, I guess, as well. Send those out to them and give them kind of instructions on how to start their own game night at that center. We try to have some volunteers that maybe have worked at our info booth or things in the past that have connected with us to go to those centers and help start and like teach people how to play games and do things like that. We have a few of those off the ground now, but are always looking for more companies to donate games so we can create more packs of these and send them out to people. The second program that's getting started is I'm going to try to say it correctly so I don't mess it up this time, the Gaming Safe Space Initiative for retailers. So that's like friendly local game stores that want to show that they're a safe place where people can come and be themselves and pretty much an everyone's welcome at the table sort of situation. We send out some posters, trifolds, and then some of our swag that you'll find at conventions, like buttons and wristbands and stuff like that, and kind of like a guide on what to do with this stuff. So putting like the posters up in the window, it's kind of it says safe space in the middle and has the rainbow meeples around the outside. So it's pretty easy to spot. And there's some other resources on conflict resolution and things like that. Like if something does come up at a table or something, someone at a table is not, respecting someone's pronouns, like what do you do and how do you like resolve that sort of situation? So there's more information on both of those on our website. GamingSafeSpace.org is also an affiliated site where we have information specific about that program. In that program, we are also partnered with Gamma as well. So the Game Manufacturing Association.
Awesome. Yeah, one of the things that a lot of the businesses around here, especially in Huntington, they've had the Huntington Pride. I believe it was Huntington Pride that started it, but it was the Open to All campaign. And it's just little stickers, and it just says Open to All, and it's got the equality symbol on it. And businesses can just sign up, and they'll post that on the front door and stuff like that, just so there's that awareness and people see it and they're like, oh, okay, cool. This place is accepting and everything else. And I don't have to worry as much or anything. So I think that would be really good for gaming stores to have.
Yep. And we're trying to get more people or more stores, I guess, also to sign up. So there's places on the website that they can go fill out a form and sign up. And we'll be in contact with them. That program's kind of just getting off the ground. I don't know that we've actually sent anything out to date. We're still in the process of ordering all the materials we need to build those packages and send them out. But within the next month or two, we should be sending out some of those first packages to stores, which is really exciting. It's a program that we've kind of wanted to start for a few years. We get a lot of questions when we go to conventions from people that do own or work in game stores. Like, how can I make the store a more welcoming place for people? I want people to walk by and know that like this is a place I can go in and not have to worry about, a gamut of situations that could come up. But yeah.
Yeah. So what is, I'm trying to think here. So you said earlier everything's a volunteer base with you all. What are the different ways that people could donate to the cause?
Yep. So there's a place you can go donate on the website. You can also donate with rewards. So you can get like a couple of the Gamer Ally or like Gamer Ally badges or wristbands. Usually we have some cool enamel pins now as well. I think we're in the process of ordering more for this next year of conventions, so the stock's a little bit low. We also encourage people to join the sustaining donor program. So if you feel comfortable giving like, sort of like a Patreon sort of situation, right? You give like, $5 a month, $10 a month. And those really help us know kind of like, the long term of like how much we're going to have to put towards these programs, or when we need to order another set of Gamer and Ally ribbons, like how many can we order, and kind of plan that stuff out a little bit more. If people are doing larger donations, say from a corporation, we'd like those to go through PayPal Giving Fund. Not as great for tracking maybe individual donors, but for those larger donations, it works out a lot better to go through there. All those different options are in that same donation area on the website. So,
okay. Now, with you said you kind of had like an ally 101 type panel and stuff at conventions and all of that. With what are we in? We're in April, so May, June. So we have Pride Month in 2 months, or basically a month away from now. What's something that you wish that just people in general knew as a way to show support? And then, like, is there anything that you think publishers could do or certain companies could do to help, show support?
Companies for sure. I think the thing that a lot of queer people are looking out for, especially during Pride Month now, is when companies rainbow wash. So they'll throw a bunch of rainbows on stuff specifically during Pride Month, just to kind of capitalize on that. And I would recommend people look for companies that are doing something with the money from that month to go towards an LGBTQ positive organization. It's one thing to put a bunch of Pride logos on things and just make profit off it, but if you're taking that money and donating a bunch during that month to those organizations and actually helping, I think that means a ton more than kind of just showing like, oh, we're allies. We put Pride flags on stuff. Like, put your money where your mouth is, I guess, especially for organizations. But for individual people, just showing up and being supportive is huge. The one thing I would say with that is not to draw focus away from people in the community. You can show up and show your support, but yeah, it's not. I don't say it's not about you, but I mean,
Yeah.
Pride. You're there to show support. You're not there to make the whole situation about you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's like you're coming to the barbecue. The barbecue's not for you.
Right. Exactly.
So is there anything other than the money side that companies could maybe do better, though? I mean, could they just do something where they highlight, if they have a game that's been designed by somebody that's in the LGBTQ plus community, they could do like a highlight of that or highlight of employees?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And to do those things outside of Pride Month as well. I mean, it's great when they do it during Pride Month, but if you release a game that has a queer character in it, bump that up in the publicity a little bit. And I don't know that anyone's ever asking for make a whole queer supplement for whatever book or game or RPG system you're doing, but even like subtle mentions of a non-binary character or an ace character just like in the character's background that might not even affect the game at all can be huge, because people in the community are reading through that and they see like, oh wow, there's someone like me in this book, like that's crazy, that never happens, and it makes people so excited. Even at conventions, specifically I was at GaryCon a few weeks ago, and we had our pronoun ribbons. We have the they them ribbons as well. And someone hesitantly comes up towards the table, sees the they them one, and I hear them like talk to myself. They're like, oh, that's me. That's my ribbon. They actually have it, and they like grab it, and they're all happy, and they walk away. So like it really does not take a lot, and it doesn't need to be in people's faces or whatever. Like just subtle nods to queer people existing in the world can be really big sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was trying to think of it, like in preparation of this. I was trying to think of different games and stuff that I've played that have any type of nod. And the only one I can really think of is Viticulture from Stonemaier, and they had the mama and papa cards. The mama cards were all pink, and it was all females. The papa cards were all blue; it was all males. Well, they released a supplementary pack of it switching that up to where you had the pink cards and the blue cards, but now the pink cards had males, females, everything on it. Blue cards, same thing, and now you still mash those together and you can draw. And now instead of having a female character and a male character, you could have two female characters, or you could have two pink cards with both of them being, male characters. So that was the only one I could think of. Is there any other games out there that you can think of that have anything at all related in it?
I know specifically, I don't remember exactly when it came out, but like Fog of Love, like their base game is just the cover that has the blue and pink or blue and red, and it's the male and female, but they have multiple other covers of the book that are a bunch of different representations of people, which I thought was really cool. I don't know that it matters in the game as much whether you're male or female. It's more about like conflict resolution and things like that. But I saw people get excited walking by their booth when they're like, oh wow, they have a cover that's gay people. Like that's really cool. Trying to think of other ones off the top of my head. I know like Paizo and Wizards have had casual queer characters in some of their books as well. There's a specific like D&D module one time that it was just some character in one of the starting cities, and he was mentioned as like a blacksmith or whatever he was. But then like there was just one line about how oh, he and his husband blah blah blah, and that was literally the only mention of it. But obviously I still remember it, and the book came out, I don't know how many years ago, but that one was one of like, oh wow, there's just a gay person in the starting city, and they just like casually mention it and just continue on. It has nothing to do with the story, but yeah, I enjoy when it's things like that where it's really has no impact. If it would have said his wife, everything would have been exactly the same. But it's like, oh, his husband, and I was like, oh, there's a gay guy in the story. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So are you more into like D&D and RPGs, or are you more into the board game size, like personally?
It's kind of flipped over the past I don't know 7 years. I used to play a lot of like hardcore Euro worker placement, resource management, strategy games, but over the past couple years, it's switched a lot more to tabletop RPG games. 5e specifically, I play a lot of, but have recently started to dabble out into other systems. I'm becoming one of those people that buys like, oh wow, that system looks really cool, let's buy it and take a look at that. Let's buy it and take a look at that one. So I have a shelf full of supplements and different systems that I'll probably never have the actual time to play. So I'm just hoarding game systems at this point. But
well, to add another one to it, I interviewed the designer 2 months ago. It was on Kickstarter, but it was called Roll for Fire.
Okay.
And you're playing as like trying to think of the word for it now. Prehistoric. There we go. You're playing as like a prehistoric human or different types of humans and all of that, and all of the rules fit on one page. Like he wanted to make a tabletop RPG to where somebody could get into it brand new, and it's all just one page. But instead of having like health or hit points or anything like that, you had basically just different traits, and that would adjust your die rolls and stuff like that. But then if you took damage, like one of your traits would go away. And then once you had no more traits, that signified your death, basically. So it sounded it sounded interesting, or more interesting to me than just like the standard, like, okay, roll your dice, come up with your stats for strength, charisma, and all of this. I'm usually not too big into tabletop RPGs. It's just too sandboxy for me. One of the things one of the things I really like about board games, it's like, okay, these are the set rules. This is how far left I can go, how far right I can go, and I have to operate in between this. With RPGs, it's just like, hey, y'all have at it.
That's to do with like when I play board games. I think one of my first questions I have when someone's explaining, like, okay, before you get too far, what is the win condition? What ends this game? Like, and then I have my clear perfect. Okay, I have to get from here to here. Tell me the rules it takes, and that I have to follow to get to that end point, which can be a little more difficult in RPG type stuff. I do enjoy doing a lot of the modules, like the ones printed by major companies, or even the ones that you go find on Drive Through RPG or something. It's finding a group of people that want to play those as well. It can be a little difficult sometimes. I have some friends that are way more into the sandbox type thing than I am, so me trying to run games for them doesn't work out very well. Yeah, like, I want to go talk to the blacksmith over there. And I'm like, well, there's no blacksmith in this module, so we're gonna follow the train track over here.
The blacksmith is on lunch break right now.
Yep.
He's got a lunch date with his husband. Like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I tried to do Call of Cthulhu. I ran one session of it with some buddies, and it was just a one shot, and it was fun. But I'm like, there's no way. Just the amount of prep that I tried to do for an hour and a half, 2 hour session was insane. I had like 40 hours of prep for a 2 hour session, and nothing went like I thought it was going to. So I'm just like, I don't know if this GM stuff's for me.
Yep, I have another group of friends that's always like, D&D, when are we going to play? And I'm like, someone needs to run it, and that's a commitment. Like, you have to do the prep work and get ready for it. It's not just making a character and showing up on that end of it.
So, do you have any conventions coming up that you want to mention that you guys are going to be at?
I believe our next convention is Origins. I think it's in June again this year. I should check the date so I don't flub when Origins is. Origins is the one convention that we do that I don't go to, though. So, let's see. Origins. Yes, Origins is June 21st this year. So that'll be the next convention we're at. And then after that in August, we'll be at Gen Con. Yeah, I believe we're doing a couple panels at Origins. We'll have our full booth there as well. And we should have a new enamel pin by then as well as part of the pin bazaar. So that's exciting. We'll have an Origins and a Gen Con pin this year. So people should look out for those. We actually just ran out of the ones from last year while we were at GaryCon and PAX East a couple weeks ago. So fully out of enamel pins at this point. So yeah, those will be at Origins and Gen Con, and then we'll have our big game room at Gen Con again this year. I think we have 91 games scheduled at Gen Con this coming year. So it's pretty exciting going from not having a game room at all a couple years ago. So.
Now, what was there anything in particular that brought about getting a specific room for your all's organization just to have that safe space?
Yeah, it was a little bit about that, but also it was kind of like what I was talking about before. People are like, oh, what do you do outside of having your info booth at conventions? What do you do outside of running panels? Like you guys should run games at Gen Con, and we're like we're fairly resistant on it for a while. I guess I didn't mention before until a year and a half, 2 years ago, we were a board of 4 people. So trying to go to 5-6 conventions a year with 4 people and people volunteering at the conventions and things, but it's a lot to organize and get through. But we've expanded quite a bit in the past year, so have a bunch of people on. We have more convention leads as part of the organization than we had directors before. So everyone kind of has their own thing that they need to worry about, which takes a lot of stress off of just 4 people. Yeah, people were always asking us about, running a game room at Gen Con. You guys can run games at Gen Con. And the folks that run Gen Con and do their events organization were super receptive to the idea. And they're like, if you guys can, fill the space in there, like we'd be more than happy to work with you on that. So it went really well last year. And judging by the amount of people we had sign up to run games for us and got that all submitted, it's going to be really great again this year too. So we're happy to kind of continue that partnership with Gen Con as well.
Very nice. So we're hitting the 30-minute mark here, and I want to be respectful of your time. Is there anything that you want to plug? Remind people, where can they find you? How can they donate? Is there a newsletter they can sign up or anything like that?
Yeah, so I would head over to tabletopgamers.org. Everything I talked about is there. The game night stuff, the safe space initiative for retailers. And you can sign up, like you mentioned, our newsletters there as well. We try to send out once a month and not spam people too much there. Sometimes if we're doing like a enamel pin design contest or maybe just before Gen Con, because that's a really big convention for us, we'll send out maybe another one. All the socials, Tabletop Gamers, and we recently started doing more on our Twitch channel as well. So check us out over at Twitch. They've been doing some Thirsty Sword Lesbians gameplay over there on Wednesdays. So yeah, definitely check that out. That's also a new thing we started to do, more outside of conventions. So
very nice. Well, Justin, I appreciate the time, appreciate the info.
Yeah, thanks so much for talking to me.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.